Thank you very much. Please. Thank you very much, Mr. Alan Miguel, for your very kind introduction in your capacity as Master of Ceremonies for this graduation exercise, and of course, in your capacity as Deputy Director of the Office of Law Enforcement Policy of the Ministry of National Security. Madam Nataki Atiba Dilchan, Permanent Secretary, the Ministry of National Security. Mr. Brian Caesar, Clerk of the Senate of the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I recognize Assistant Commissioner of Police, Madam Beverly Rodriguez, representing the Commissioner of Police and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service here this afternoon. The very distinguished and beautifully attired Madam Gail Charles, Director of the Office of Law Enforcement Policy, hard-working, stalwart in this business. Inspector of Police, Mr. Johnson Benjamin, Head of the Transit Police Unit. Sergeant Corps, who represents the Municipal Police Service here this afternoon. Inspector Sean Sukram, who heads the Parliament Police Unit. All of the instructors, all of the tutors who made you ready for this exercise here today. And of course, all of you members of, well, the families of the graduates here today, members of the media, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and most of all you, the graduates of batch number 1 of 2022. It is with more than usual pleasure that I represent the Ministry of National Security, the Government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and as Member of Parliament, all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to be with you on the occasion of your graduation and to congratulate and celebrate you for the processes that you have been through so far, manifesting your commitment to give service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago in the way you have chosen in respect of law enforcement. You would have heard, those of you who are attending like I am here today, that after a very vigorous selection process, after many were called, but few were chosen. A selection and vetting process which included an observation of their academic qualifications from O-level qualification to tertiary level, some of them. Very stringent background checks to make sure that their records and their reputations are worthy of our attention and participation. Medical and psychometric testing to ensure that they are sufficiently fit to undergo the training that they had to undergo and the responsibility of a law enforcement officer going forward. And of course, the psychometric testing to assure us that every one of them was sufficiently of sound mind, stable, in control of the normal human emotions that would flow in the course of the very volatile events of policing. And all of this was followed by the 14-week training program, resulting in the presentation today of 49 graduates, all standing or sitting particularly so proudly before us today, and I think they deserve again our sincerest applause. I have been advised, and it is pretty obvious, that your training was not without some of the challenges, particularly the challenges that COVID-19 threw at all of us in Trinidad and Tobago, the region and the world. That resulted in your having a blended training program, as we would have seen from the montage, some an online process, and a lot of it in person, again, as we saw reflected here today. And that in-person training involved, of course, as has been said before, drill, weapon training, and self-defense, self-preservation techniques, all of which are so critical in your preparation for the path that you have proudly and boldly chosen. And all of this is an example of the kind of resourcefulness and resilience that we as a people, we as human beings are called upon to give and to manifest in this, as I say, very trying world, a world of unpredictability and uncertainty, almost hour by hour as we live. And that itself characterizes the business of policing. The business of policing involves your being in the theater of conflict sometimes, mediating, being officers of peace, peace officers as it were, and on occasions having to go into actual physical and armed combat in the execution of your duty. Very, very volatile circumstances. As Bob Marley would say, sometimes when you think it's peace and safety, suddenly destruction, mayhem, and you are in the midst of it, expecting to bring law and order, peace, and good behavior to manifest. So let me, in recognition of all of that, place on formal record here today my admiration, my pride, and my own congratulations to every one of you. And of course, to the directorship, the leadership of OLEP, and that of the Parliament, and certainly that of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, as they all put their heads and their hearts together and worked to providing you with the training and with the opportunities that now lay before you. And as I speak of opportunity, it behoves of me to say frankly to every one of you, when you were out there in a job not as well paying as you wanted it to be, or you were out there unemployed and wondering, what can you do with the skills that by then you would have acquired, the academic qualification that by then you would have acquired, and your willingness to work and contribute to your society. You saw the advertisement by the Parliament and by the Transit Police, and you responded to it. And the process unfolded. And you were fortunate to be among those who were chosen after, as I said, many were called, many came. And for various reasons, they did not make the cut. You did. This is an opportunity, not the least, an opportunity for a good, stable job and an income upon which you can depend, rely on a monthly basis to support you and your family and your other life's pursuits. It pains my heart as a man, as a father, as a former police officer, certainly as Minister of National Security, when I would hear or read about the weakness, the frailty displayed by some of us law enforcement personnel, falling at the lowest hurdle, yielding to foolish temptation, finding yourself going askance of the regulations, the rules, the ethics, and certainly sometimes the criminal laws of Trinidad and Tobago. And I take this opportunity to plead with you, you young and bright and beautiful, potential-filled citizens of this republic who have chosen this path, to yield not to temptation. Do that which your soul tells you is the right thing to do. Remember the words of your mother, your grandmother, your father, certainly the words of your instructors. Listen to your conscience, minute by minute, as you make decisions, as you must, in the execution of your duty. Do it right, and all will be well. And as Mr. Caesar said, all eyes and ears and cameras are upon you. You don't have to fear any of them once you do what the law, the Constitution, the regulations, and what the ethical principles that you were taught demand of you to do. Now that you have found love, so to speak, what are you going to do with it? This estate is an estate of tremendous opportunities. I started out in the police service. In those days, a school leaving certificate was enough. I went into the police service in 1976 with one O-level pass, with a grade 5. So I implore you, by way of my own example, to do as I did. Take some time for your further personal growth and development. However hard you are called upon to work, a week has 168 hours. You'll be required to work on average 40 of them. You'll work some overtime. You'll have to hold on when men don't come out, perhaps for the evening shift. You'll have to double up. But with 168 hours a week, there's enough for you to take some and direct it towards your future development by way of studies or the acquisition of any skills pertinent and relevant to policing or otherwise. I did that. And today I hold a master's degree in law. And today, because of that and other reasons, most of all with the blessing of Almighty God, I stand here today before you as a member of Parliament and the Minister of National Security. 20 of you, I am advised, will join the ranks of the Parliamentary Police Unit. And Mr. Caesar put it very, very well. I would have left the Parliament in 2007, so I did not see the genesis. I did not see the birth of your unit. But by the time I came back in 2010, as an old instructor from the police service, I quickly recognized, good thing when I see it. I saw some of your colleagues, those who you would join in the Parliamentary Police Unit, bedecked in their immaculately white tunics, smartly attired, and carrying out their duties in a manner that pleased me and continue to please me to this very day. He said it. The Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, many citizens may not have observed this. is definitely one of the most organized and efficient arms of this state. I say so from my 25 years of interface and experience with it. No exaggeration, no hyperbole, real talk. Every single time we get started at 1:30, the speaker might be outside of the door at 1:28, just waiting for 1:29 to approach to get us going. I have never, as a member of Parliament, made a request of the support staff of the Parliament for cases, for history, for information, for parliamentary records, you name it, and not had it. All of that has to be protected and secured by the Parliamentary Police Unit. And I'm very, very proud as an old police officer when I see the way in which they conduct their affairs. You are going to join them, and it is expected that you will maintain those standards and contribute substantially towards the upkeep of them. In 1990, I was not in Trinidad and Tobago. I was in a far-off place in London, getting some studies done. And I got a call from a friend, Donald Rodney, who told me about the goings-ons in Trinidad and Tobago, and I switched on BBC TV, and there it was. I'm still pained by that to this very day. An assault on our parliament, 6 days of trauma and hell. And that very august and beautiful place was transformed to everything else over 6 days. Today, the security platform around the parliament is a whole lot better than it was then. And I enter and egress that place on a daily basis. And I feel proud and a whole lot better at what I see. And the presence of the Parliamentary Police Unit contributes substantially to that feeling of security that we who occupy that building, doing the people's work, feel. And certainly, it is the seat of the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. And your presence is very, very germane, very substantial in the upkeep of that. So you are more than welcomed. And as Mr. Caesar said, we expect a whole lot of you. 29 of you will join the Transit Police Unit out there on the beat, on patrol. And this unit has the responsibility for law enforcement, safety and security along the priority bus route, City Gate, the Route 1 Maxi Taxi stand on Independence Square, the Arima Maxi Taxi stand and environs, and your general presence in the Republic as police officers. In blue and gray, as we say. And the public doesn't have the luxury of knowing the difference between transit police, parliamentary police, SRP, regular police. The reality is, once you take the oath and you are a member of the Special Reserve Police and you are attired in the way you do, and you have the mandate that you do, and you present yourself in the public, you are, for all intents and purposes, like any other a law enforcement officer. 25 hours a day, as you heard. And you would have been taught over the last few weeks what your roles and your responsibilities are. I'm aware that Mr. MacDonald Jacob, the Commissioner of Police, has co-opted all of these units, including the Transit Police Unit, in the strategic planning for the entire policing platform in Trinidad and Tobago. And that's a good and necessary thing. Only today, I secured the Cabinet's approval to bring to the Parliament again the private security bill, where we have in Trinidad and Tobago, now wholly unregulated, approximately 50,000 private security officers, and the idea is to regulate that industry, put in place a regulatory body, organize them a whole lot better to ensure that they are properly paid and equipped and trained. And as I say, in that regulated environment, co-opt the private security in addition to the state security apparatus, including you, of course, so as to give Trinidad and Tobago a wider and a better chance at dealing with antisocial behavior, criminality and criminals wherever in Trinidad and Tobago they manifest themselves. So I was quite pleased when I would learn that Mr. Jacob has included all of you units in the strategic planning and the operational structure of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service platform. By virtue of you being sworn in as police officers, you are liable to be called out by the Commissioner of Police anytime to assist in all national emergencies. As you are now members of a national security system, though consisting of separate components, as I indicated earlier, all together creating a wholeness and a oneness, a security blanket and platform for Trinidad and Tobago. And for all of your efforts and for your success in this endeavor so far, you will be awarded a diploma in General Policing Level 1 accreditation for Special Reserve Constables. And I implore you not to take that designation for all of your destination. I've already asked you to continue in your personal development. Today, policing, unlike in my days, requires skill sets across the board, in every regard, in all disciplines, theology even, psychology, not only the obvious criminology and law and the science of DNA and fingerprinting and photography, not only those, managerial skills. Today, in the modern world, modern policing requires skills across the board. There is precious little you could study that will not be of value. Accounting, auditing. We have white-collar crime in this country aplenty, and we need young, bright, able people to be able to analyze companies' records, accounts, and to see where they are in breach of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, whether tax laws or other laws regarding money laundering, terrorist financing. So there's nothing that you could study. Children's law, anything. It's all required today in this environment, in the modern world of policing. Over the last 14 weeks, you would have heard a lot from the directorship at OLEP, which responsibility is to shape policy and to shape the trends and the directions that law enforcement should follow. A lot of intellectual work takes place in that production unit of OLEP. And they were the ones who were mandated to oversee the training that you underwent. You would have heard a lot from them. You would have heard a lot from your instructors. And certainly today you would have heard a lot. I ask you family members to continue that your young family members continue to hear from you. Give them the support they need, the emotional and the loving and nurturing support that they will need from time to time, because this job is no walk in the park. So in closing, it is our prayer that the excitement that you indicated that you have so far experienced stays with you all through your long career, hopefully, as law enforcement personnel. Trinidad and Tobago is depending on you to protect us, to stand in the gap between criminals and criminality and the law-abiding. And the song that was sung by one of your brothers here today, One Call Away, I smiled when I heard it, because I know, and members of the public know, that sometimes the police is one call away, but sometimes not. This is no laughing matter. When someone is traumatized, when a woman is in a home and her partner is advantageously setting himself upon her with a knife, with a cutlass, and she screams, she really wants you to be one call away. When she comes to the police station to complain long before the tragedy, she expects you to be one call away and to give her your heart and to be compassionate as you deal with her. And don't be too concerned about duty is supposed to end in 2 hours and I ain't going out by this woman's house now because I'm going to finish after my close time. We really need you. And I must say as I close, I, as Minister of National Security and as citizen of this republic, have found that a large part of the challenges we face in Trinidad and Tobago is as a direct result of the fact that there are too many of us who are quite happy to get our names on the payroll and don't want to be there to do the work after. I submit as I close, if all of you will work to the optimum levels that you are expected to in spirit and in truth, the Transit Police Unit, the Parliamentary Police Unit, law enforcement more generally, and all Trinidad and Tobago will be much richer and better off and safer for it. God bless you, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.